Despite so many people in the entertainment industry claiming that The Flash is just one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, all these random celebrities and random paid reviewers that came out and said, you have to see this movie. It's so incredible. It's so amazing. The Flash did not live up to the hype. And despite its opening weekend projections, in some cases getting as high as $140 million domestically, it absolutely flopped with a $55 million opening. And then it had the worst drop in DC Comics movie history of over 72%. The third weekend is now here, and it's not better. The Flash sees another disastrous drop in third weekend at the box office. After dropping 72% in its first weekend, it dropped another 67% in its third weekend. This is embarrassingly bad, pretty much worse than any possible comparison you could look at. And in fact, when you look at the full weekend chart, The Flash is down to number 8. It only came out 2 weeks ago and is down to number 8 at the box office. The Little Mermaid in fewer theaters overtook The Flash. Transformers, No Hard Feelings, Elemental, all these things surpassing The Flash. It is so fucking embarrassing for them. And this is how bad this flop is. With all this money invested, with a box office total that may not reach over $300 million when it's all said and done, The Flash is set to become the worst box office flop in studio history. In the history of Warner Brothers Studio. That's what we're talking about right now. In the same way that Indiana Jones might be one of the worst things we've ever seen for Disney, this is looking almost certain to be a record loss for Warner Brothers. How fucking pathetic is that? The Flash may become Warner Brothers' greatest failure. We talked about this the other day, that if tracking didn't have it get to 300 million, that not only would it lose hundreds of millions of dollars, but it would have been more profitable. Well, I shouldn't say more profitable. They would have lost less money by just not marketing this movie, just spending all the money to produce it and putting it on a shelf and never doing anything with it, rather than spend the $150 million in marketing and not recoup that when you look at the cut they would get from the box office. That is sad and fucking pathetic. But look at these numbers. Fernando mentioned the Flash's hefty 150 promotional budget may not even be recouped by box office earnings, and Warner Brothers would have lost less money releasing it on Max or not releasing it at all. So where would this stack up against other massive Warner Brothers flops? We know that Wonder Woman 84 and Suicide Squad, those things were flops in large part because they released in theaters and also on HBO Max on the same day. It's kind of an experiment that they were doing at the time, so you can kind of understand why some of these would be massive losses. But even those didn't lose as much as The Flash. Directly impacted by COVID, Wonder Woman 1984 lost an estimated $137 million, while The Suicide Squad lost $120 million. They took a look at Matrix Revolutions, $130 million. LeBron James Space Jam, $111 million. Look at all these numbers. The Flash, if it only loses $200 million, would be the worst in recorded Warner Brothers history. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword with Charlie Hunnam lost apparently $150 million for them. Then Wonder Woman, Matrix, Jupiter Ascending, that was a big flop for them as well. Suicide Squad, Space Jam, A New Legacy. We are talking about a historic flop for them. This is following bad flops from Shazam 2 and from Black Adam. Those both lost money for Warner Brothers too. Like, what a nightmare for DC that The Flash may realistically be the worst thing that they have ever seen in terms of money lost. How long has Warner Brothers been in operation? How many decades have they been around? And this might be the biggest failure they've ever had. That's the sad reality when it comes to DC and The Flash.